The two words that change everything. Today, I want to explore something with you that has the potential to fundamentally reshape the way you connect with women and the way they experience being around you. This matters especially as you move into a phase of life where you are looking for something genuine, something that actually lasts. Here is what will surprise you most. What we are talking about has nothing to do with your financial status. It is not about your jawline or your wardrobe. And it has absolutely nothing to do with rehearsed lines or scripted approaches that circulate endlessly online. What actually moves the needle comes down to two deceptively simple words, words that activate something deep and instinctive in a woman's emotional world, reaching places that most men do not even realize exist. I will tell you exactly what those words are shortly. I will also walk you through the psychology behind why they carry such consistent power. But I need you to stay focused on one particular nuance that almost everyone overlooks. That nuance is the real distinction, the invisible line between the men women forget the moment they walk away and the men women find themselves thinking about hours later, for reasons they cannot quite explain. Stay with me through to the end. This has the potential to change not just how you speak to women, but how you communicate with people in every meaningful area of your life. Let me share something I have observed firsthand. For years, I have worked alongside a dedicated group of researchers and relationship specialists who have studied thousands of real interactions between men and women, analyzing how conversations unfold, how attraction builds or dissolves, and what separates genuine connection from forgettable small talk. What we found consistently surprised people. The men who created the strongest impressions were not necessarily the most conventionally attractive. They were not driving the most impressive cars or wearing the most expensive clothing. What set them apart was something far more accessible. They had developed the ability to communicate with emotional directness and honesty. We call this direct emotional communication. While most men are caught in cycles of safe, non-committal conversation, carefully avoiding anything that might provoke a reaction, the men who stood out operated from an entirely different orientation. They were not performing. They were not hedging. They were not softening every statement into near meaninglessness just to protect themselves from rejection. They communicated with clarity. They said what they meant. And that quiet confidence, that willingness to be emotionally transparent, turned out to be one of the most attractive qualities a man can possess. Take an honest look at your own patterns for a moment. How many times have you swallowed what you actually wanted to say because you were not sure how it would land? How often have you diluted your intentions, made them vaguer, softer, less direct, just to reduce the risk of an uncomfortable moment? If you have ever felt like you are doing everything right on the surface and still not generating the kind of genuine interest you are hoping for, this is where the answer begins. Attractiveness is not about doing more. It is not about more effort, more strategy, more performance. It is about communicating differently, more honestly, more intentionally, with more clarity about who you are and what you actually want. The human brain, as it turns out, is not searching for perfection. It is searching for certainty. When a man speaks with genuine emotional confidence, not arrogance, but clarity, it creates a feeling of psychological safety in the people around him. And safety, paired with curiosity, is one of the most powerful emotional combinations that exists. It is what makes a woman lean in, pay attention, and find herself returning to the memory of your conversation long after it ended. Real attraction is not about impressing someone. It is about the feeling you leave behind. The first word, I want. The first of the two powerful phrases is this: I want. I know, it sounds almost embarrassingly simple. But the reason it works is not in its complexity. It is in what it represents. When a man says, I want, with a calm, grounded voice, he is doing something that takes genuine courage. He is owning his desire. He is not waiting for permission. He is not hedging behind ambiguity. He is not outsourcing the emotional work to her by making his interest a question she has to answer for both of them. Compare two approaches. The first: hey, maybe we could hang out sometime if you're not too busy. Polite, safe, and emotionally inert. It transfers all decision-making responsibility to her while signaling that you yourself are not particularly invested. The second: I want to take you out Saturday. There's a place I think you'll genuinely enjoy. Feel the difference, not just intellectually, but in your body. One creates a path, the other creates work. Leading is not about control. It is about removing unnecessary friction. When a man has no clear direction, it subtly shifts emotional labor onto the woman. She finds herself filling a vacuum that should not have existed in the first place. Over time, that dynamic quietly extinguishes attraction. I once worked with a man who had every external quality one might look for: sharp mind, genuine warmth, professional success, yet his romantic life was nearly invisible. Women enjoyed his company but felt no pull toward him. When we examined how he actually communicated, the pattern was unmistakable. Every expression of interest was conditional, softened, or framed as a tentative suggestion. There was no declaration of desire, just possibility statements. I gave him one assignment. For 7 days, replace passive, non-committal language with clear, I want statements. The results were measurable within days. Women responded more quickly. Conversations deepened. His presence shifted. Because clarity, it turns out, is magnetic. A man who knows what he wants and can say so calmly stands apart in a world full of hesitation. The second word: I appreciate. But here is where many men derail themselves. They hear, be more direct about what you want, and they run with it, leading to something that reads more like self-centeredness than confidence. This is why the second phrase is essential. It provides the dimension that the first phrase alone cannot. The second phrase is, I appreciate. If I want communicates direction, I appreciate communicates depth. It tells her that you are not simply registering her presence. You are actually paying attention to who she is beneath the surface. You are seeing her. And being genuinely seen is one of the most profoundly moving experiences a person can have in any relationship. Rather than landing on something generic at the end of a good conversation, that was fun, consider something like, I really appreciate how you think. There's a depth to the way you see things that I don't come across very often. Notice what that accomplishes. You have moved past the surface. You have reflected something specific and real back to her. You have made her feel understood rather than merely admired. Research in relationship psychology consistently supports this. When people feel recognized for who they are internally, rather than how they appear externally, it activates a reward response in the brain that generates genuine emotional bonding. This is connection that goes far deeper than physical attraction and proves far more enduring. When you bring these two phrases together, something remarkable happens. I want to spend more time with you because I appreciate the way you challenge my thinking. Now you are not simply a man with an interest. You are a man who sees value in her as a person. You are choosing her, not needing her. And that distinction matters enormously. The hidden variable, congruence. There is one critical element that determines whether these two phrases elevate you or fall completely flat, and it has nothing to do with the words themselves. It is called congruence. Congruence simply means that what you say and what your body communicates match each other. Most people instinctively understand this without having a name for it. We have all experienced the strange discomfort of listening to someone say one thing while their tone, posture, and eyes are saying something entirely different. Women, in particular, are remarkably attuned to these mismatches. The brain is constantly reading microsignals, subtle shifts in vocal tone, physical tension, eye contact patterns, breathing rhythm. It is not consciously critical. It is simply scanning for authenticity. And when a man says, "I want to take you out," while his voice wavers, his eyes drift, and his body language broadcasts nervousness, the message received is not confidence. It is confusion. And confusion reads as uncertainty. The solution is not to perform more convincingly. It is to actually slow down and get grounded before you speak. Feel your feet making contact with the floor. Breathe deliberately before you open your mouth. When you say, "I want," let it originate somewhere real inside you. Let it be an actual reflection of what you feel, not a line you are reciting. Stand with your chest open. Release the tension in your jaw and shoulders. Hold eye contact with ease rather than effort. When you arrive at "I appreciate," deliberately slow your pace. Let there be a moment of stillness before the word and after it. Let your voice carry warmth that is not manufactured, but simply allowed. A useful practice. Stand in front of a mirror and speak both phrases aloud. Watch what your face and body do. Is there visible tension? Are you holding your breath? Practice until the language and the physicality match, until the words feel like an honest extension of your actual interior state. Because people do not primarily remember what you said. They remember how it felt to be in your presence when you said it. The power of timing and silence. Using these phrases effectively also depends on when you deploy them and what you do immediately afterward. These are not conversational formulas to insert robotically throughout every exchange. They carry weight precisely because they are used in moments that have actually earned them, after a laugh that felt genuine, at the close of a conversation that went somewhere meaningful, in the quiet space at the end of an evening that mattered. Picture a date drawing to a close. There is a natural lull, that moment where most men fill the silence with nervous chatter just to avoid sitting in stillness. Instead, try simply being in it. Look at her. Then say, calmly, "I want to do this again. I really appreciate the energy you bring to a conversation." And then stop talking. That pause, that space you allow after something meaningful, is not empty. It is doing work. Most men talk through their own best moments because silence makes them uncomfortable. But silence after something genuine creates weight. It gives what you just said room to actually be felt. Confidence is not about filling every moment with sound. It is about being completely comfortable with the quiet. Emotional specificity and imprinting. There is one final layer worth understanding, and it is what separates truly memorable men from simply pleasant ones. Generic language produces generic impressions. "I appreciate you" is fine, but "I appreciate the fact that you stay composed when things get difficult" is something else entirely. It demonstrates that you have been paying attention, not to the performance of who she is, but to the actual texture of her character. Specificity communicates that she is not interchangeable, that she, specifically, has registered. This is the mechanism behind what psychologists call emotional imprinting. Those moments that embed themselves into memory, not because of what was said, but because of how they felt. These are not engineered through cleverness. They arise from the convergence of genuine intention, specific appreciation, and the willingness to be fully present without rushing toward an outcome. I once spoke with a woman who had met a particular man only twice, but found herself unable to stop thinking about him. She struggled to fully articulate why. He was not the most outwardly striking person she had encountered. But when she was with him, she said, it felt like he was actually there, not rehearsing, not angling, not half present while managing his own anxiety. He was simply in the moment with her, intentional, unhurried, genuinely attentive. That quality is rarer than almost anyone realizes, and it is completely learnable. Your starting point. Here is a practical challenge for your next real conversation. Do 3 things only. Say one clear, direct, I want statement. Say one specific, genuine, I appreciate statement. After you say something meaningful, allow 1 moment of conscious silence. That is the entire assignment. Do not complicate it. Do not try to engineer a perfect outcome. Just execute those 3 things and pay attention to what shifts. You will notice she stays more engaged. She will be more willing to open up. And long after the conversation ends, something of it will remain. The larger shift, though, is this. Stop measuring your success by whether you achieved a particular outcome. Men who are focused exclusively on the result, the number, the next meeting, the confirmation of interest, create a subtle pressure that is audible in their voice and visible in their manner. But when you orient yourself toward the quality of the connection itself, something unexpected happens. The outcome tends to follow naturally, almost without effort. Clarity draws people in. Genuine appreciation builds the bridge between you. And real presence, the willingness to actually be where you are, is what makes you someone worth remembering. You do not need to be a different person. You do not need to reinvent yourself or adopt a personality that does not fit. You simply need to be more honest, more specific, and more grounded in what you actually feel and what you actually see in another person. Start today. Lead with intention. Speak with specificity. And above all, be fully there.